put people in your path to help you.
Yeah.
You are the people for my family and I.
Amen.
And I want to say thank you. I also want to say, again, God is good. And God is good all the time. Could you please say his name?
Ahmaud Arbery.
Say his name.
Ahmaud Arbery.
Last time.
Ahmaud Arbery.
Thank you guys. I love you.
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to another episode of We Are Ready. This is a We Are Ready session where we focus on issues that might be relevant to you, your family, and your community. We encourage you to like and share our YouTube channel, share with your friends, family, and people of interest. One of the things tonight, we'll go right into it as we look up. And we've been putting a survey out asking you about topics that you want to be ready for. We focus a lot on survival, whether it's man-made survival, disasters, or anything that's facing our community. So we have to be ready at all times. And it's best that you be ready and prepared than have to get ready and be a victim of what's going down. So whether it's dealing with survival skills, whether it's dealing with things in your neighborhood, in your community, we have to put ourselves in position so that we'll be ready at all times. Tonight, we'll be focused on the Just Us system, the justice system. And if you look over the last couple of weeks, we've seen many trials, and in particular up in Wisconsin, and we said we were waiting on a verdict, and some people got the results they wanted and some people didn't. Down here in Georgia, and we call his name, Ahmaud Arbery. That case will be coming up. I think it'll be going before the jury probably next week. Well, there will be many things on our minds when we look at this system. We say, is it made for us? Can it work for us? And how do we navigate it? A couple questions that we ask people. Do you feel comfortable in this justice system? And do you feel that it's fair, just? Because we see different things happening to one group versus the other group. So we'll talk about that, and we'll talk about many people's introduction into the legal system. If you don't understand the game of the legal system, it puts you in a awkward position, because most of the time we enter is at the other side, where we have to either defend ourselves or find someone to defend us. So we have to look at that. And you can't take matters in your own hands, even though we see some forms of vigilante justice here in America, and we seem to be encouraged, except when it comes down to the efforts of Black and brown people. Black and brown people are not encouraged to take retaliation or defend themselves or stand their ground. But tonight, we'll be joined by our local and on board consultant, Ms. Sharia Thomas. She'll be sharing with us some things about the mental aspects, because with all the anxiety, with all the stress, it can cause a lot of weight on you, your family, and even in your community. People feel some kind of way, they get caught in their feelings. And we so we have to look at how that affects us mentally with all this stuff that's going on and dealing with it. So we have Miss Thomas. How you doing this evening?
Good evening. I'm doing wonderful. How are you?
Doing great. And I know you'll be sharing some things with us this evening. We wanted to bring some males on board that have either looked at this justice system, this criminal justice system, and especially Black males. And we wanted to we get a snapshot of how you feel about it. We got a couple of brothers that join us, and I know you'll be able to share some professional things in there, Ms. Thomas, as well as the fact that you have sons that will be at some point in the future engaged or having to deal with this system. So I'll be bringing a couple of the brothers on board. I think we got Brother Ray, we got Brother Eric, and we got Brother Leonard. And these brothers are just regular brothers, boots on the ground, dealing with the legal system and thinking about how it affects them. But I want, before we get started, if you brothers could come in, I think we'll start up there with Brother Ray. Just say a little bit about yourself. And I know we put some questions out there, so we have a lot of questions, but just say a little bit about yourself and how you look at this. Just say a little bit about yourself first. Introduce yourself and tell us if it's a group or organization that you represent.
Thanks. I'm very glad and honored to be here. I'm Ray Jones. I'm with Hood Heroes TV, and I shine a spotlight on the heroes in the community. And I also advocate with ADOS. We push for reparations and a specific Black agenda. So we on the ground.
Thank you, brother. Brother Eric.
Great. Good evening, everyone. Eric Morton here with Dad's on Duty, the Atlanta trainer here. Background is in training, military, movie production, and special organization and stuff. And I'm just here to basically just share some input in my position and stuff with the legal system as well.
Thank you. And Brother Leonard, last but not least, and we probably have some more brothers coming on board a little bit later, but thank you for joining us this evening.
You're welcome, man. It's good, man. I'm sitting in for our president, Mr. Joe Rose. I'm national spokesperson for New Order National Human Rights Organization. We work just like your regular civil rights organizations in our communities as well. And we also focus on human rights. We have various chapters across the United States, and we're here to stand by people who need support when it comes to these type of engagements with law enforcement, also dealing with community issues as well.
Okay. Well, thank you. And Ms. Thomas, not to have you last but not least, but can you share with the gentleman in the audience what do you do and why it's important to have some counseling sometimes? Because when we got to deal with these things, if America hits you so hard, you got to have some therapy.
Yes. Good evening, gentlemen. It's a pleasure to be here. I'm Sharia Thomas. I consider myself to be a lifestyle consultant. I take my experience as a licensed professional counselor, a master's addiction counselor. as well as a life coach with a specialization in fitness and nutrition to help my clients, to help the community, families and friends, people in general, to living a happier, healthier, and more peacefully joyful life. This applies to what we're talking about today because we experience so many upheavals of emotion, whether it is a simple bystander or someone who's watching it on television to the family affected by the victims. So it's so essential that we stay ready mentally, emotionally, physically, and spiritually. And in this manner, definitely being prepared and being of assistance and support to those in need.
Thank you, thank you. And just to set the conversation up, when we think about the justice system here in America, it's based on law and order. And they say America has more people locked up than any other civilized country on the planet. And there are more Black people locked up or victimized by this justice system than any other people on the planet. This is supposed to be one of the freest places on the planet with expression and things of that nature. But one of the first things I want to ask you, brothers, how do you feel about the justice system, if there is one?
Well,
Go ahead.
it's unjust, and it wasn't designed for justice by no means. Slavery never ended. They just switched the game up. So the 13th Amendment says neither slavery nor involuntary servitude except as a punishment for crime. So basically, if you're duly convicted, they can enslave you. And we know the U.S. is a corporation at the end of the day. So, but with that being said, we can, if we learn the law, know the law, and become more active politically, we can put things in place to where we can have better outcomes in the courtroom. Some of us, we should go on jury duty. That's one. We should participate in jury duty. I know a lot of times we try to skirt that, but you being on a jury duty can actually save someone's life. Just look at the Ahmaud Arbery case. Because there are three defendants all being tried at one time, they all have three different attorneys, but they were allowed to have three strikes to the jury. So that's a total of 9 strikes. That's why there's only one white person on the jury, one black person out of 12 on the jury because of those
Wow.
9 strikes. So I say all that to say we do need to participate because that one brother might be the difference between them being found guilty or not guilty. But we'll go more into that later.
Okay. Brother Eric or Brother Jeffries or
Well, it's a perception of the justice system. I think that a lot of folks we watch TV one thing and we're bystanders, so to speak, because we're watching someone else's case, for instance, and we know they're charging that one person for whatever it is they may have not done. Now we disagree, like say for instance with the outcome in the Rittenhouse case. Well, why do we disagree with it? For one, if everyone disagrees with it, because we know some people don't. The issues that we have with racism in our legal system are separate from just a conversation on is the law fair? I mean, the law as it stands, if you got rid of all of the racist people put in charge to administer the law, would it meet your expectations, for instance? We question the charges. That's a part of the law. Why wasn't this person charged with this? Maybe because you all gave the judge discretion to throw out some of the charges if necessary. But it's part of law that we allow this to happen. So I think what the best conversation would be is like the one brother mentioned. one of the issues that we have from a racial point of view is ethical representation. So, for instance, if the court is stacked with those people who are generally opposed to or believe in white supremacy for some reason, they're going to have those interests when it comes to these individual cases. This is our problem, not the law per se. It's the people that administer the law. One of the things that I was actually thinking about putting as part of this reparations package that I'm working on with another organization is the fact that, one, due to our historical context of law and how Black people are usually disenfranchised, maybe one of those demands should be that anytime a Black person does go before the law, he must be given a jury of his peers, and they must be 50% of the minority that he belongs to. Because the issue in itself is not the law. It's the people who are administering the law that are causing the problem.
That's a good point. Brother Eric?
I just want to just piggyback on a little bit what the brother just said in reference to being a part of the system. Because too often times, as Brother Ray was saying earlier, that we don't even want to be a part of the jury system. And that's one part of it. And then we want to complain later. Well, we need to get in on the grassroots level, starting with our local municipalities by being a part of those legal systems, by supporting the people in law enforcement who can actually affect it by being a part of the system so that they can be the judges, they can be the lawyers, they can be the people that give the discretion to be a part of it and give an equal and balanced perspective from it, from their own background, and also from the legal system itself, but by learning about it. So we should support those people who are, number one, are going to be a part of it from the aspect of being the people that actually help administer the justice in the system.
And Ms. Thomas, as a professional and even as a mother, how do you weigh in on that?
How do I weigh in on it? Here's the thing, over the course of, I would say, the last year and a half, I definitely have personally been more involved when it comes to the rights of our people. I'm joining the National Action Network and having my boys to join as well, because of, when we say being disenfranchised, just the sense of being considered a minority in America, that our Black and Brown economically may not have the means in terms to be able to get the legal defense needed to assist them. I was even looking at some statistics of 3 out of 5 people in jail have not been convicted for a crime, but they are maybe too poor to meet the bail set by the court, meaning that just in terms of the setup of the system and ensuring that, yes, number one, that we definitely want to advocate and just be connected more to our local justice system by simply, all, as you all have been saying, is to be on the jury. I even had that experience myself, is to actually go for jury duty and was a part of it for about 3 days. And we just do our civic duty. That's a start in itself. But in terms of being willing to, at least what can we do on an advocating level of where you are in your life? How can it impact at least even yourself, your family, your extended family, from even if you don't have your own children, but maybe your nephews or nieces, whoever it may be, to ensure that we as a community are supporting one another and that we are aware of the importance to stay in the know. With that being said, resources, us just knowing what's available out there. Again, I go to the sense of people may not even have the means to have legal defense or the support needed, and even knowing what's available out there, really kind of connecting people to those organizations. And even Mr. Leonard, even kind of understanding what more type of services are provided with the new order that can allow us in the community to know where to go, how to get the help, how to get the support, how to get the assistance, the education, to really put us in the know of the information needed. So we can do our part, even on a small level, to assist in parts of where the system is broken.
And we are, when you think about here in America, and I think it's another brother. What's up, Sir Harry? How you doing, brother? Brother Tuesday. We bring you in. Good to see you over there as well. We're just going into a little discussion when you think about the legal system here in America, and sometimes we look at it, and if you ever paid any attention to America, the legal system didn't get like this until basically they freed the slaves. Because it's almost by design that it was designed to control our actions and efforts. In case in point, rules, laws, and legislation is passed from the top and is implemented through it's indoctrinated into us early from the religious institutions when they tell you the 10 Commandments: thou shalt not steal, thou shalt not kill, all those things. And then our educational system reinforces it. And then the governmental structure maintains it. And that's a form of white supremacy, because sometimes we see other people they can do the same crime and they do more time. And some of that's through ignorance, not knowing. I've seen people take a roll of toilet paper and the judge will give them like 10 years. Hard time. And then try to put them, just put them away. So when we talk about the fairness of the justice system, and any of you all can get in there, do you see it as a fair system when it comes to, and we just got to be clear, whether it's the wealthy against the poor, or the rich, or even white versus black justice? I mean, do you see any fairness in there? And either you brothers can speak into it.
Well, it's
brother.
Everybody would have their own, opinion, I would guess. However, I usually will tell someone I am probably one of the most conservative individuals. So, I believe in complete fairness. I believe we could administer justice through an artificial intelligence system to avoid all this racism. You put in the facts, and here come the question based on the facts that you put in. So you ain't got no middleman in there calling the shots based on his biased interest. However, we could go that far, but should we? Especially when we have like what we call a democracy. And that's the biggest thing. Everybody know that black folks have been disenfranchised by this system. That's a fact. It's a disparity in sentencing to the point where when President Obama was elected, one of the things that he was doing behind the scenes that was very substantial was the disparity between sentencing for crack cocaine and powder cocaine. That law was not good, was not a great law for the very simple fact it targeted a certain group. Now, people can argue about whether it was right or wrong, or was it the fact that so many people were in their feelings about crack cocaine, which led to government making such a law that actually made a difference between these two. What would say, well, why would you get more time for selling crack than powder cocaine? Why? What was the theory behind that at all if it's all dope?
Right.
You know, it should have been weigh it all up, send them all jail, regardless of the form that it's in. But when someone made the law and they saw a preference, and also based on the community's activism at that time, they wanted to just round them all up and lock them all up. Thus, we have mass incarceration.
Wow.
We gave judges discretion. That was the issue. So judges have the right, the authority to pick and choose. You have to take that back if you don't want them to have that anymore. But as long as they have that discretion, they will use it, which means now that the fight has to be how do we get the best people in those seats?
That's a strong point, Brother Leonard. Our elected officials, because when we see judges and they are elected, prosecutors, they are elected, and when we see district attorneys and people of that nature, and we say, well, how do those folk get in there? So we need more people involved. I know we just got Big Harry in. You want to weigh in there, brother? Introduce yourself and just weigh in on why we have to participate when we vote, because if you don't vote, you'll never serve on a jury. You can put a 0 by that. If you don't vote, you will never, ever serve on a jury.
That's a fact.
So, Brother Harry, can you introduce yourself and tell us a little bit about yourself and how you see this Just Us system?
Good evening, everyone. My name is Sir Harry Tuesday, professional voiceover actor, and I'm glad to be a part of a conversation this evening. Mr. Drummer, I'm currently working on the book, How to Raise Boys to Men. And as I spoke with Mr. Drummer on yesterday evening, this is something that we need to do because our youth are hurting. You're a dad on duty. I'm a dad on duty. I am more than happy to join in with the fight, the struggle. Yes, I am. So let's just dive into it. Let's get into it.
Okay. Well, with all that being said, how do you feel about the justice system in its current form?
One second.
Okay. And,
Right.
and this will be a question that'll be posed to everybody. We've all had different introductions into the justice system. And we put those things down there. Some people just had traffic violations. Some people it might be a DUI or a domestic violence or altercation, or
Right.
it could be theft, like the brother said earlier, drugs. But however you got introduced to this justice system, at some point, either you found it to be fair and just or unfair based on the circumstances, whether it be money or skin color. So, Brother Harry, maybe you can share with us, how do you look at it from a personal standpoint with you, your family, and your community?
Well, I see it as being very unjust. If you have a problem and you go to the police station, which happened to be just recently, if you complain and ask to see the chief of police, they're going to come after you. They are going to come after you.
How so? How so? Explain that. Explain that coming out.
They don't want you to go up the chain of command. They don't want that. They want to just, okay, they don't want to admit any mistakes at all. The chief is like the king of the little town.
But here's a problem. Here's a problem that we got to start doing a lot of, and this is stop
A
now.
lot of threats.
Threats. Guess what? This is what we have to start taking action on these levels, because when the problem with a lot of these things is that we don't say anything and we think that they're the end all. He may be the chief of police where he's at, but I promise you, there's a government higher than that you may have to actually get involved in your struggle as well. And we need to make sure other people are aware of it, because too many times what's happened in some of these small municipalities is that, yes, these local people become powerful because the people have empowered them to be the end all, and nobody challenges them and nobody gets anybody else involved that can shake them. So what I'm saying is that even if that's a chief of police over there, I'm sure that, we got things called email. We got things that other people's got websites. They got GBI, Board of Investigations, that it will investigate even chiefs of police for doing their job. So if you need to, these things are available to us. Take the action if you want some action yourself, and not just settle for somebody saying, oh, you can't talk to the chief of police. Guess what? Email them your problems, but email the GBI or somebody else up the chain. It's over them. I just can't think of right now of the chief of police, so I'm just sharing. So,
Eric, you bring up a great point, and there's always a level up over to ensure that we take that next actionable step. And as you know, I was saying, in terms of us really having the resources, first, it's definitely communicating. And what we're talking about is communicating in an assertive way that we really take that next actionable step is so essential. What comes to mind for me is if we think that we have been involved in an unjust crime, we do need to know, what do I need to do now? And sometimes that's the missing link. As I said, even for myself, National Action Network is what I'm connected to. So that's number one, is they have advocated for years with the Reverend Al Sharpton in many communities nationwide. But there's also a National Crime Prevention Council. And so that is just an umbrella to keep ourselves and our families safe. And anybody can reach out to that, and they have free resources. And so we want to know that there is, first, to be empowered to know that there's information out there for us, to educate ourselves even on, the disparities of the legal system and how to get it. So at least on my end, I want to provide the information that, hey, let's take the next step to know that there are support networks out there that we can reach out to, that we can be educated on, that we can assist not only ourselves, but our family and our communities to ensure that there is that next level of what we can do to make a difference.
I want to,
and that's a strong point, Ms. Thomas. When you think about it, that's why what is like organizations that help us understand how this system works. Until we understand how the system works, it's very difficult to navigate it. And I'm pretty sure, but Jeffrey, you've been in small towns where people say the sheriff runs everything, or somebody's got a little echo in there. The sheriff runs everything. But when you look at America, and you take an incident like January the 6th, a lot of people in America believe that they can take it to the highest position. They'll start locally. They'll deal with the mayor, city council people, representatives, or even if they go to court, there's ways to take it up a little higher. Case in point, even in Wisconsin, once you know the system, even though Rittenhouse was acquitted on all those things not brought up, but he still will have to go through civil court. There's another alternative for it. Even in Brunswick, if you know the rules of engagement of the game, if they convict all three of those gentlemen for killing Ahmaud Arbery, guess what? The first thing they're going to do is appeal. And we have to understand how this game works. And I'm pretty sure Brother Ray, even when you deal with reparation or anything like that, you go to the root of this country. Believe it or not, black and brown people have used the legal system to gain their freedom, or to now sometimes they didn't want to do it, but everybody do their do their day in court. And sometimes, especially when it's the South, people did not allow us to have our day in court. Vigilante justice was served. They either drug you out the house and kill you, or put you in a position where you were threatened, where you didn't say a mumbling word. But I know you guys are on the ground.
Excuse me. Good evening. You said, well, you just said what kind of word? A mumbling word.
What's up, Miss Cookie? How you doing?
I am fantastic. Good evening, everyone. I am your girl, Miss Cookie, always coming to you live and direct and in full effect. I appreciate having the opportunity to be here with you all this evening. This is a dynamic conversation, and I'm just going to sit back and take notes and listen and see how I can be instrumental. So I'll mute my mic. I just want to say hello and thank you for welcoming me. And hello, everybody. Thank you for welcoming me. All right, I'm gonna mute my mic, so I'm paying attention.
Okay.
Now,
And
but to your point, brother, we gotta know the law. We gotta learn the law. We gotta be a little bit more savvy when it comes to the judicial system, even the basics. I don't think we're doing enough work in that regard. I think they intentionally they took civics out of the school. We used to be taught civics. We used to have an understanding of the executive branch, the judicial branch. So they're purposely keeping us ignorant to the judicial system. So we have to go outside of that. And we have to advocate for it inside the schools. You was mentioning there used to be, they used to round us up and have street justice and all that stuff. Those days are over. That's what this Ahmaud Arbery case is about. They can't do that anymore. We have the ability to elect the district attorney, the mayor, the judges. We had the ability to put these people in place. So we can't be allowed to be afraid to be active as far as politically in the system, because that's by design. They purposely keep us disinterested in politics. Even the so-called political party that claims to be friendly to black folks, they purposely keep people that are lukewarm as candidates, so we will be disinterested, so we won't be fully active in the process. We have to change that. We have to make sure that all of our representatives are advocating for us. And we need to be able to raise money like Rittenhouse. Rittenhouse was able to raise $700,000 damn near overnight. We should be able to put some money together, get behind some people. We got all types of apps to where we can cash out some money right quick. We know how to raise money when we want to. We should be able to put money behind someone in their defense if they're falsely accused.
Right. And that's a great point, Brother Ray, because when we see groups and organizations out there, one of the reasons Rittenhouse was able to get or be in a position, they put money behind that. And then anytime you go up against what's the Second Amendment, the gun, America really brings everybody out the woodwork. Here's a question. Is this just an issue of changing white versus black police chiefs, judges, and prosecutors? No. One of the questions out there, and anybody can feel free to dive into this. Even when we elect people, we say, well, let's get somebody black. And they're, whether it be a police chief, a prosecutor, or a judge, we still get unfair treatment. Case in point, in Kentucky with Breonna Taylor, there was a black, I think district attorney or whatnot. He didn't see nothing wrong. He said nothing. There's no case here. No further review necessary. So sometimes we get people that look like us, and they say all kinfolk ain't skinfolk. All skinfolk ain't kinfolk, or something like that. But how do we make sure that the people we elect are doing their job? Just like in Brunswick, they had to go through 3 DAs that recused themselves because they had got so deep involved with the McMichaels, they could not render fair judgment, and they would not have done it if there was no light shed to the situation. They would have tried that situation and probably never went to trial. But because they pushed the issue, they brought others in, and those people had to leave those positions. So how do you go about making sure that the people we put in office do the right thing?
I want to just say that I think one of the key things here is that you got to find them people that have the integrity ahead of time. They have to be showing those that they have the integrity long before you get into those positions. Because too often times that's the expectation is we want people to be on our side, or in a sense to support our side of the legal portion after the fact. But my thing is this: did they have the integrity? And I'm talking about, to answer that person's question about, do we want to change it to be white, black, whatever? No, we just want people to apply the judicial system equally, fairly. That's what I want. Just apply it fairly. For instance, like this, one of the things down here in this Arbery case is that one of the first defense that they were trying to use was that, they were trying to do a citizen's arrest. Well, a citizen's arrest only comes into effect if you actually see somebody do something. It applies. But they never saw him do anything. So how in the world can they go to this defense saying, we thought he was doing something? You can think all you want. If you didn't see it, it didn't happen. Period. That's the fact. So that's what I'm saying is that I want people to be able to apply the judicial system in its accurate point. If it's supposed to be justice for all, then it needs to be actually justice for all. And the people who I'm going to support are the ones who are going to support it across the board for everybody.
Well, I think one way to answer your question, I think we need to exercise the pen like they do. We need to write letters to Congress. We need to make some noise. We need to publish books. We need to, where our books are published in the Library of Congress. We need to use a social media platform. We need to use TikTok for more than just twerking. We need to, we need to use the platforms that are available to us and make some noise. And you could do that from the confines of your home. You could do that sitting in your car. You can make a TikTok message right now just based on, the type of experiences that you're having, like Mr. Harry had at the police department or whatever, we got to make some noise. We got to let people know that, those slavery days are over and that we have a voice and our voice will be heard. We got to come together collectively as a people and to support one another, in those efforts. So I think that's how you, make sure that they hear and that they live up to doing what they're expected to do.
Okay, that's a good point. And I know, Brother Leonard, you guys are out there, not just in Georgia, but in so many places, getting in the faces of people that are in high positions that are not doing the right thing. So your boots on the ground and you're going up the chain. What are some of the things that you all are doing over there in New Order? I know Brother Gerald is always out there, and you guys, anytime whether it's Ferguson, whether it's Wisconsin, whether it's Kentucky, or even with Ahmaud down there, and eventually we'll have a trial here with Brother Brooks in Atlanta. So what are you guys doing?
Well, first of all, I'd like to definitely say hello to Miss Thomas, because I was a former president of National Action Network, and I believe that's when we met Mr. Drummer initially, when I was with National Action Network. And we constantly tried to do things to get the community aware of what was going on. There's one thing to fight an issue that jumps off in the community. But what we did is we would come back and we would solicit attorneys to come in and do free law clinics and things like that in the community, as well as even in my capacity with New Order National Organization. Is that one, there's no such thing as me not seeing the chief of police. If I get a message from, say, for instance, I'm have a relationship, Rockdale County Jail and that sheriff, to the point where, because New Order has built this relationship, if there is a prisoner who is believed that they are being treated unfairly, and I get that call, I go to that prison and I go and have them bring that prisoner in front of me. So we get involved in a lot of different things. We establish open door policies with chiefs of police and sheriffs as a media. So when we hear about something going on in the area, a lot of times now in some areas, the chief of police will call, the sheriff will call, because they know that, one, if we feel and the community believes that they're being treated unfairly, we are going to be there to support that individual. One of the issues I like that Ms. Cherie brought up is the justice system definitely disenfranchises people who are low income and poor. We even have organizations that have paid bail for mothers to be out of jail on Mother's Day and things of that nature. So this cash bail system stands as a deterrent to justice as it relates to being a poor person. Because, one, why should people who can afford to get out be released simply on the fact that they can pay bail, fines, and fees up front? See, that's one thing that people don't think about, to the point where I used to say when I was younger, it seems like poor folk ought to stop getting in trouble because there is no support for you. And so, we have to deal with that. And as a community, we have to deal with something we don't like to talk about: volunteering in this system. Out in the streets doing things to harm others, when you know this system is here this way. The system at best should be deterring this type of criminal activity so you don't get arrested or what have you. But we have to deal with the fact that some of us are not concerned about the next person's freedom. So it's not that justice is just that. It's either just or not. Whatever the color would be of the person, the victims, perpetrators, it's the justice system. Racism is what disenfranchises African Americans, who seem to be even on the low income scale, because wealthy Black people can afford to just pay the money and pay the fines and things like this. But when you get into communities where these people are preyed upon by police, because that's the welcoming party to the system.
Whoa.
That's the welcoming party to the system. So when a person is, I usually ask them, are you more concerned with justice as you are with doing whatever it is you want to do? Because that's what's going to, everybody would say they're innocent. But at some point we have to pick out, hey, that actually is injustice. And when we write our policy, we want to make sure that we're not disenfranchising people for anything other than what the alleged crime that they have committed. That young man was given a $2 million bail. He had that money probably that night. Because so many people supported him, they just sent their money.
Right.
Okay? Whereas on our side of the fence, you go and get a public defender to defend you. You can't go in front of a case like this with a public defender and think you're going to get justice. He who pays the bills really, to me, is, you have to think about it. You represent me or the state, but the state paying you. So how well can I really believe that you're going to represent me properly? Which leads us to misconduct, prosecutorial misconduct. And so when we used to sit in these judges' chambers, look at the tools that we had to, say, for instance, with a judge. If a judge is behaving irresponsibly, we would do judicial qualifications complaints, where we would actually file a complaint against the judge. One judge got caught up to the point here a couple years ago. He was so upset, once he was removed from his position, he went back and tried to remove the tool that we were using to report misconduct during court cases.
Wow.
And was able to do that. When President Trump was elected, he immediately tried to shut down the Civil Rights Office because this was our federal go-to. And for people who don't understand it well enough, thank God for the federal government, because states at one point were not inclined to give you any kind of justice, especially if he was in the Confederate states. We know what that was about. We can hold this trial right now, tie the rope. That was what some people thought actually called justice. We're not that far away from these people still being in office. And this is why we have all these issues, because you still have people in authority that are sympathetic to harassing and disenfranchising African Americans.
And I wanted to put this is a question coming in. I've actually been in court rooms where I was not a juror, or just as a regular citizen. So this is something we have to understand and be clear about. Anybody has permission to go in any courtroom and watch a trial. Now, you know, in the southern states especially, and when I heard it, in the Ahmaud Arbery case where the judge said he didn't want to see any more black preachers faces at all, it reminded me of Emmett Till, because when Emmett Till accusers were brought to trial, the only people that were allowed to be in the courtroom were white males. They did not even let white women be in the courtroom. Well, fast forward to where we are now, because at the federal level, people have come in and motivated states to be not giving us anything, but to give us to allow us the same freedoms that everybody else has. So a lot of times, if you got people being locked up in your community, whether it was drugs, I know here in Atlanta they're expunging people records and things of that nature, because a lot of people have been falsely accused. There was nobody in the courtroom that would stand up for them, to say, hey, that's a good child. You know, especially if somebody in the area of 15 to 17 years old, because I remember going to a court case, and this was the juvenile. And because we were in the room as dads on duty, we were able to influence the judge's decision, because he had somebody there that was just wanted to say something on his behalf. So a lot of times we have to be a lot more involved, and we have to be visual, so that people will do the right thing. Not to threaten anyone, but you have the right to go to any court case that's out there. You know, as long as they got a seat.
You know, it's interesting that you say that, because I was asked to remove myself from a court case. They had more than enough space, but they just did not want certain people there. So that's interesting. I'll just tell you quickly what the scenario was. My nephew-in-law was on trial for rape and several other, crimes. He ended up getting 15 years, but I was going to the case. I was going to the court because I wanted to just be supportive and, be there to show him my support and to show just the family the support. And they would not allow people in. I guess it's like, I don't know if they felt like we were going to intimidate the witness or what the case was, but I felt like I'm a citizen. I should be entitled to sit in on a court case, regardless to whose case it is, if I opted to. But that didn't happen.
Right.
They wouldn't allow it.
Miss Thomas, I just want to real quick, Miss Thomas, what is actually, how can they actually do that? See, this is where someone with some legal background need to shed some light on this. Who actually stopped you, and who actually stopped you and told you couldn't come? Because that's where a lot of issues that people are having is not knowing what's the legal parameters based on what. And I mean, if it was Emperor Moon there and you support, regardless if you're supporting the victims or the accused, what your rights is that what's the difference? Why are you not allowed to be in the courtroom? I'm trying to understand and see if Ms. Thomas could give us a little background, maybe.
In terms of, can you ask that question again? I wasn't.
I was just wanted to find out. Can you share with us or shed some light on why she would be kept out of a courtroom that's, like Drummer said, is open to the public, and she was there to support her nephew, which just happened to be the accuser? Who could keep her out of there, and based on what? What legal parameters did they have to keep her out?
Well, that's a good.
And unfortunately, I don't have the answer to that question because when it comes to the legality of a courtroom, I don't pretend that the law is my expertise and background. I only get information from what I do learn and what I am given in terms of, being able to self-educate myself. Now, as it relates to any resources and determining, well, why is that? I would definitely refer her to the National Center for Victims of Crime, because she could even speak to a lawyer with that information and find out, well, what is the actual law? So she could speak literally to someone that would have that information. But great question.
That's a good point. Hey, well, for everybody, we're going to be doing probably another part, a two-parter, because when we talk about the justice system and just us, but there are many things that many of us are working on. So one of the last things I want to do, if you could go into just maybe a 30-second, what are you doing? Why are you doing it? What type of things that you're working on when it comes down to helping our people? I know, Brother Ray, you're working on the reparation with ADOS. A couple of other ones over here are working on things that can help get more information out to people, because one of the things that we focus on over here is making sure that we be ready, because we are at war, whether you admit it or not. And we're taking a lot of fire. So is there anything, just maybe a little quickie, that you're working on and how people can get in touch with you and things of that nature?
Yeah, thank you. So yeah, we're working on and that's our website is adosfoundation.org, and we have a comprehensive Black agenda that includes criminal justice reform. Of course, we pushing for reparations. Of course, we're dealing with Black agriculture. We got a plethora of items on our agenda that we have to address, because we know that our issues are, man, they're very robust. We got a lot of things that we got to deal with, and it's multi-pronged. So you could please contact us at adosfoundation.org. Thank you.
Thank you, Brother Ray. My brother Eric, what are you working on out there? I know you in the schools, a couple other things. How they get in contact with you?
Well, yeah, I'm like I said, I'm actually training in the schools. Correction, I'm doing training in with a college, Georgia Piedmont Technical College, in the areas of movie production and actually forklift safety. And what I'm trying to just share is that we have to have the ability to be leaders, and to start with gaining the knowledge of our particular circumstances. And that's whatever it is that we need to do. If it's learning about the legal system, it's learning about it from the perspective of what do the law says and who you can get that information from. And I just want to continue to just share with anyone about training that they need to help organize some things. Let me know. Reach me through Dads on Duty over there on our Facebook page. Eric Morton with Dad's on Duty. Reach me over there. Thanks.
Thank you. Ms. Thomas, I know we're, you know, when it comes down to just how we face stuff and how we look at stuff, sometimes I know oftentimes you offer consultation, therapy, and a lot of things. So can you give us a little snapshot of who you are and what it is you currently working on? How to get in contact with you as well?
Most definitely. Again, I am Sharia Thomas. I'm a lifestyle consultant helping people to live a happier, healthier, more peaceful, and joyfully life through helping them reach their goals through health, relationships, business, and entertainment. Now, why am I so diverse? Because I take my experience as a licensed mental health therapist, an addiction counselor, as well as my experience in terms of fitness and nutrition. And I also have a background when it comes to event planning in the area of entertainment to really help people to live a full and vibrant life. What I'm currently working on when it comes to even what we're talking about and just getting the information out is a networking event that I will be allowing and bringing to the community here in the North Atlanta, Georgia area. I can be reached at shariathomas.com. That's shariathomas.com. I'm on your multiple social media outlets from Facebook, Twitter to IG, Instagram at I am Sharia Thomas. And mainly I keep up all of my information on Meet Me in the Community on my website.
Thank you. And we always appreciate your professional opinions, and even as a family person as well. Ms. Cookie, I know you've got a plethora of things that you're doing. You have a platform over there out in Conyers. You're doing some big things. Let us know.
Hey everybody, again, I am your girl, Miss Cookie, the director. I am an author and a publisher. I am a filmmaker, and my goal is to turn authors, animators, illustrators, and believers of dreams. I'm looking to publish books that are written and illustrated by children, teens, and young adults. We are launching the Alpha Male Strategy System. I'm working with Sir Harry Tuesday currently on publishing this book, How to Raise a Boy to Become a Man. We're targeting specifically the African American community, but we're not limiting to that. We're going to be publishing this book in this series in multiple languages because this is an issue I believe that transcends cultures. Families, we need to treat and to learn how to follow the scripture. And I believe that there are lots of lessons, true lessons in the Bible. And for you dads on duty, one of those lessons is to raise a boy, raise a child in the way that they should go. And when they grow old, they should not depart from it. So fathers, we need to understand that it is your responsibility. It is your duty as a parent, not only just parents, but just people as adults, to raise children. So, my goal is to help spread the word, to keeping the alpha male agenda alive, and to not lose all of our boys to, them feeling as though God made a mistake. And so they're going to recreate themselves into becoming the women that they admire. So that's my goal, publish books, turn these wonderful books into film, and make history.
And what's your contact information?
Directly on my cell phone. I just want to give you I like to talk on the phone to folks sometimes. So I can be reached directly at 678-7. I don't see nobody with a pen taking notes. You better take notes when I'm talking. 678-707. Stop laughing at me, Miss Thomas. 678-707-4935. I'm on righttouniteproductions.com. That's my website. And I'm on social media as Atala Miss Cookie the director. I'm just Miss Cookie, MS Cookie the director on all social media platforms. Thank you for having me. God bless you in all your parts. Gentlemen, you guys are doing a fine job. And I can't see your name in the middle. The gentleman who just spoke a moment ago, and said
Well,
that you were
you'll be able to play it back.
Mr. Morton
Mr.
contact
Tuesday.
information.
Mr.
What
do you
Morton's
want to say
contact
before we get ready to
information.
close out? You want to say something?
Yes, I just wanted to ask Mr. Morton for his contact information.
Reach
All right,
me.
well,
You can reach me at law LAW Morton MORTON at gmail.com. Make sure you law Morton at gmail.com.
Thank you. Mr. Harry Tuesday, you want to say anything? The golden voice.
I'm writing a book, How to Raise Boys to Men, because I'm very passionate about this, as you know, Mr. Drummer. And I can be reached, as you know, at righttouniteproductions.com. I look forward to working with you, really with all of you, because you see what I see. Our young men don't have a clue, and I want to help any way I can. I want to help. So everybody have a good evening, and I look forward to meeting all of you one day. That's it.
Professional voice on.
Can you hear me, Mr. Linden? New Order. What are you guys
Yes.
doing out there?
Well, constantly doing work in the community. If anybody needs any assistance or what have you, or you may want to be interested in the organization itself, you can go to our website at www.nonhro.org or give us a call at 1-800-346-5138. We're also on Facebook. We broadcast on radio shows daily, Monday through Friday. On DKM Radio, I do a show with that organization to discuss various things as well. And also, if you need assistance or know of someone who may need assistance, we have an excellent chief of staff and individuals around the United States that help us do what we do every day. So if you're interested and need some help, you can give us a call at 1-800-346-5138. We partner with various other 501c3 organizations in the community. We have mentoring programs with the Evolution Center as well, and trying to help our people transition from one status to another, despite what the issue may be. Shout out to our vice president, who is definitely always working very hard right now as it relates to making sure that people outside have support, food, clothing, and shelter. That's one of the things we also try to do. We know the winter is coming. And so what we do is we try to motivate people to give back or to donate things. And so it's a group of people that have come together, and we work on various things. My particular role as the spokesperson is to definitely communicate the objective of the organization. I also do a lot of personal small business consulting and helping people develop 501c3s as well, because I love being a part of organizations that are fighting the same fight that New Order is fighting. So it was a blessing to be with you again, Mr. Drummer. You know, you can always call on us anytime. And shout out to Gerald Rose for being that person without any fear whatsoever to support other brothers and sisters in the community.
Thank you. And thank everybody. Thank our audience. Definitely like, share, tag, and spread the news. Stay ready at all times so you won't have to be at the mercy of whatever shows up. This is Reginal Drummer, the Peopleologist. And we'll see you next week. Have a great day.
All right.
God will put people in your path to help you. You are the people for my family and I.
Amen.
And I want to say thank you. I also want to say, again, God is good. And God is good all the time. Could you please say his name?
Ahmaud Arbery.
Say his name.
Ahmaud Arbery.
Last time.
Ahmaud Arbery.